nice try. Didn't work, did it?
Wow,
Okay.
Cathy.
Right.
Cathy's just...
In your own time.
Okay. Well, good start. Easy. My name's Cathy, and I am an addict.
Hi, Cathy.
Oh. Can you hear me now? God help you. But over a bit. Over a bit.
Or near your mouth.
Or near my mouth.
Hello. It's my bedroom.
Okay, I'll sit back. It just doesn't look right up in my face. I've just got rain fog, everything's just rain. See? Like. Okay. Just a moment. It's a bit hard, sorry. Right, okay. The title. What's that again?
No substitution for surrender.
No substitution for surrender. Who the hell made that title up? Huh?
Kev.
See, when I thought it was just surrender, and I thought, okay, thank you, that's normal, yeah. And then it was these other words in front of it. So I'm asking people, and they're like, So I googled it. And it came up with all these medical definitions, and I thought, I need to get up here. I just need to get up here. And say what it means to me. And it doesn't mean any of that. So if you don't hear any of those words up there, I apologize. This is my interpretation, my words. Whatever they are going to be. God, you would think, after all these years I have been about, I would not have this fear, you know. I've done lots of shares during my time in recovery. And I still get sweaty palms. And I remember my husband gets really annoyed with me, so for God's sake, pull yourself together, and I'm like, go fuck off. Just because he might be cool doing shares. He's like, you know, there'll be people sitting out there today that would love to be up here doing a share. Well, see me personally, I think that's bollocks. Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Do you want to be up here? No. Bum. Not true, not true. So, where do you start? I didn't want to start taking drugs. No way. You know, I hear people going sick and tired. Yeah, I'm sick and tired. But the very thought of, you know, taking drugs terrified me. So I didn't even think of surrender because there was no way I was going to give up. I had never heard of AA. But I did used to kind of say I'm sick and tired, and I would do self-detoxes at home with various substances and pills and methadone, downers or whatever. And I think the only thing when I think about surrender is like giving up. And I gave up in my early 20s to the fact that I was going to be an addict for the rest of my life. And so I no longer started detoxing and putting myself through all that agony. I gave in. And because I accepted it, I was all right. I had this vision in my head, you know, I'll be hobbling up to Harley Street in my crutches, in my 70s, 80s, whatever, to pick up my script for Mandrakes. And if there's any oldies in there, they'll know what that was. That is. It's the equivalent of smack now, I think. But I loved it. And then they took them off the market, and I cried It's the only feeling I had when we took those pills away. So I just kind of bubbled on. I went into different psychiatry hospitals, fancy hospitals. I would get detox. Now I remember one of them in particular. The doctors brought a bottle of champagne into my room to celebrate that I'd stopped taking smack. Serious, that is true. That is true. They gave me a wee black box to detox with. You can tell that never worked. So yeah, I'm not one to say I surrendered. I was saying to somebody else, when I think about surrender, I'm like, guilty, Your Honour, yeah, take me away, whatever, do you know what I mean? I can't get my head around that word. So, I ended up, after all the sort of crazy hospitals that I'd been in to detox, this one came up with this place in Chelsea, because I lived in London. And they went, go there, it's a 12-step. And I thought, what's a 12-step? What's a 12-step? And my doctor said, this is your last chance. I am not having you anymore as a client because you're a pain in the arse. I was always up. I lost my script. I dropped the pills down the toilet. Anyway, so I ended up in this treatment centre. And even then, do you know what I mean? I just couldn't get it. I don't know if you call it denial or just no accepting, whatever. We used to sit in a group like we do in a group therapy. And people used to say, I am powerless over my addiction. And I go, oh, okay. And then it would get to me and I go, I am powerless over heroin. And you go, no! You used to scream at me, it's over everything, the coke, the dope, the pills, and I went, but not. And I had 3 weeks of hell in that treatment centre, those first 3 weeks, because they wouldn't let me be. They kept saying, you need to say it. Powerless over your addiction, that means everything. And I go, but it's no everything to me. I actually believe that I can have a drink, puffing, take the bit of coke. The only thing I won't touch is smack. I promise. If you just let me out, they never did. But what that treatment facility done is they kind of threw me across the road to this NA meeting in Wagner Walk. And that's where I went. You know, all the counsellors, all the clients in the treatment centre could not get through me. But this meeting did. I used to sit there and I listened to people talking about me. Drink, the pub, that's how they had to be everything up. I listened to people that had just come back from relapse and saying they thought this and that. You know, I would leave and go back. And then came the day when we sat in that circle again, and I was like, my name's Cathy, and I am powerless over my addiction. I thought the flags were going to come out. They were like, oh, you finally heard us. And I went, nah, no use, guys. Any doesn't. And I loved. I couldn't wait to go back to meetings. I went, can we not go to more meetings? Even though I was terrified of meetings, I would sit at the back of the hall underneath the table, because when I sat on top of the table, the fear vibrated and I fell right off. I just shook. I was terrified. But there was something in those rooms that got to me, that really got to me. And so yeah. So I don't know if it's surrender, but I became willing. And I think willingness to me is the most attractive quality ever. It really is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I love the concept when it was explained to me by a sponsor I had. He said, you don't need to like it. You just don't need to like it. You don't need to love it. You just need to be willing. I went, serious? And I was like, okay then. And I would say things like, yeah, I'm willing, but I don't want to. It was always, I don't want to, I don't like. And people would go, well, that's all right. massive story. My journey's been the same as all of yous, highs, lows, ups, downs. My one consistency is I have never stopped going to meetings. And one of the things I love when I'm in meetings is when I'm looking about and hearing newcomers and the struggles and the this, and I just think, no offence, I'm like, thank fuck, that's not me. But that's not true. It might not be me in that day, but I struggle as well. I struggle being clean. In my world, in my head, if I could have a drink, have a puff, just be that Charlie now and again to get me going because I'm getting old, but still have what I've got right now sitting here, I take it. That's the truth. I take it. Because I'm greedy. I want it all. And to me, that would be the perfect world. To have everything I've got today, and the only reason I've got it is LA and God. And it's of my understanding, no anybody else's, you know. My God said, when you guys aren't, you are all fast asleep, and I might be thinking I want to go. I've had enough. And when I say I've had enough, it's always feelings. It's never anything else. I've been through so many fucking deaths, funerals, illnesses, cancers. Do you know what I mean? I've got to pick up. That's it. Why? And lose all of that, the very thought of losing what I've got scares me. And that's where I love hearing people come back for a relapse. Because nobody I have heard coming back for relapses or, yeah, it's really good, it's okay, now. I'm back now, and I'm like, I don't fucking believe that. Because if it's that easy, I'd be out there. And I listen to their stories, and it ain't pretty. They don't just lose clean time, they lose their soul, they lose their spirit, and it's like deadpan, and I have real sadness with that on you, poor soul. I hope you get that back again. It's like the light goes out in their eyes. And I see that, and if I'm having a bad day and think, oh, maybe, I'm like, no chance. No way, Jose, do I want any of that back. Because I think if I had to go, I would get back. I would not get back. Because I listen to people who have relapsed, and it's hell. It is hell. And I don't think I'm going to be any different. So I am a willing addict. And I will go to any lengths. I will. My sponsors used to say to me, jump, and I go, how high? Because the fear of returning was just too much. And I live really simple. I live a day at a time, literally. See all these slogans? When I first came into any, I was quoting just for today. Don't worry. Blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, they're shit, they're not. I live my life by those little sayings. You know, when I start to worry about stuff, I go, is this happening today? And it's like, no. You see, the minute I go, no, it's like, whew, thank fuck for that. My granny, God bless her soul, must have been in some form of recovery. She used to say to me, why worry? Worry when it happens, that makes sense. And see, when I cleaned up, I was, thanks, Granny. You were wise. You were wise. No matter what has happened in my life, and I have had mega downs and ups. And I've got pulled up and supported by the people in this fellowship. And I'm really getting bad at forgetting, but I don't forget that shit at all. I don't forget who's there. Even if it's a text or a phone call when I'm at my lowest, or I'm close to using. And I've been close to using about a dozen times in my recovery. But I haven't done it. God knows how. I've been in my car, ready to shoot out the door, and it's not happened, you know. And I look back on my recovery and I think, thank God my first husband dragged me into treatment. No, wait a minute. That was my second husband, wasn't my first one. He had gone, I was divorced by him. I used to idolise Elizabeth Taylor, and so I was going to like husbands along the way. But I stopped at number 3. And if anybody knows Mr. Fed, they'll think it's a miracle. I'm still clean. That shows you how good a program I work. I believe in all of this. I work the steps. Honestly, open-minded, willingness. I'm just kind of hoping it rubs off. Who knows? Won't talk to me tonight. But anyway, see that saying about surrender, whatever? I had a little tip. Kevin Hanks kindly informed me yesterday that that specific phrase is mentioned 66 times in the basic text. Just for your information, in case you wanted to know. He's wrong, but it's 67. Anyway, I'm here. I put one foot in front of the other. I go to meetings, still do bits of service. Somebody asked me, how come you're still going? You're pretty old now. And I'm like, and I'm going to be 70 in 2 days' time, which I'm like,
Go on.
just for today. That's so important to me, just for today. That can go tomorrow, that can go anytime. I don't think I'm any different. I've got a day clean like everybody else in here, and if you haven't got a day clean, you still do. I'm kind of it. It's so worth it. And that's it.
Brilliant, guys. We are going to go straight into the next share, so if you are leaving, can we try and do it quietly, just so that it can carry on? So I'm going to hand it over to Roger, that's going to share for 30 minutes on the same topic. If we can keep the noise down, guys, just so... Roger. Yeah?
Cathy?
Hello?
This isn't bad, man.
Let's let them calm
Let
down.
me calm down. Cathy, innit?
Yeah, can we leave quietly, guys? The back doors are still shut because we are going to go on to the next share. So if we can do it quietly, that would be appreciated. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Roger.
Yeah, hello?
Oh, now it's gone off.
It's gone off.
Batteries, is it? Hello? Why is it gone? Can't hear nothing.
Hello?
Wait, I think it's going to turn on. Try it now.
Hello?
It's not very,
Speak
it's
louder.
not very loud.
It's not very loud.
It's gone. The batteries are going, aren't they?
Hello?
Ah,
Who are you?
Yeah, my name's Roger and I'm a great recovering addict in NA.
Hey, Roger.
Wow, yeah, Cathy. Cathy fooled me, by the way. She forced to go first because she used seniority because she's slightly older than me. She's got a slightly bit more clean time than me, so you know what I mean. She wanted to get her words in, but yeah, I am grateful to be here. And I remember when Terry called me and he said to me, he wanted me to come and share on surrender. And my arse went straight away because I thought to myself, I've got nothing to share on surrender, man. I've got nothing to share. But, you know, Terry's got confidence in me. But first of all, I'd like to thank my higher power, God, of my understanding. Without my God, I wouldn't have a day clean. I wouldn't be here. You know, I prayed to him this morning. I prayed for a clean day. And I prayed to be a vessel of hope, but, you know, a spirit of light. That's what I prayed for. I'd like to thank all the predecessors. Definitely like to thank Cathy, a partner. I see some heavy hitters in the room when it comes to recovery. I saw Gavin P, Raymond R, do you know what I mean, in the room. And that alone can make me nervous, but I know it's all love, man. Oh, there's Brother Hodge, man. Brother Param's in here. There's some faces, man. My sponsor is in here, and some of my good friends. I love Western. I love Western Superme. I've got, even though I don't spend much time down here, I've got an affiliation with Western. I came down here. I remember getting on the train with my dog and coming down here to do my step 4. Do you know what I mean? I packed up my bags. I heard this was the Mecca of recovery. No, seriously. I'd seen and heard some guys that had got some good clean time, and I'd heard in meetings in London. They said, if you want to get recovery, go to Western, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because a lot of guys come here and they don't leave. Do you know what I mean? They go on the missing list. You see them on milk cartons and you think, where are they? But you know they're in Western and they're staying clean. So something really special must be happening here. So as I said, when Terry D asked me, you know, it would be a privilege and an honour to come and share. So yeah, I'm going to try and do a little bit of literature reading because I don't want it to just be me, you know, up here talking my stuff. There's no substitution to surrender. Thanks. And the reading I'm reading is from the It Works Out Why, and it's reservations. It says reservations are a place in our program that we have reserved for relapse. They may be built around the idea that we can retain a small measure of control, something like, okay, I accept that I can't control my using, but I can still sell drugs. I'm not talking to anyone particular in this room. I'm just talking what the reading says. So if that affects you, ignore it. Can I? Or we may think we can remain friends with people we use with or bought drugs from in our past. Once again, that was a bit of me. We may think that certain parts of the program don't apply to us. We may think these things, there's things, something that we just can't face clean, a serious illness, for instance, or a death of a loved one, and plan to use, even if we plan to use if it ever happens. We may think that after we've accomplished some goal, made a certain amount of money, or been clean for a certain number of years, then we'll be able to control our using. Reservations are usually tucked away in the back of our minds. We are not fully conscious of them. It is essential that we expose our reservations we may have and cancel them right here, right now. Now, I'm a dyslexic addict, and for me to sit up here and read in front of you guys, my whole throat goes. But you know, I have to conquer my fears in addiction, you know what I mean? I can't just come up here and, I've got swagger, I can come up here and run some jokes, I can come up here and talk about surrender, but I need to do stuff that makes me uncomfortable. I need to do stuff that makes this addict grow. Do you know what I mean? I came here to grow. I was a little immature boy when I came in here, and I wanted to grow. The past month has been a tough month for me in recovery, and only people that's close to me know how tough it's been. I've been planning my mother's funeral with my brothers and sisters. My mother's in the Caribbean. She got Alzheimer's dementia, you know, and I remember in early recovery, I thought, if I lose my mother, that would have been one of my reservations for me to use. That would have been kind of an excuse, the death of the woman that gave birth to me, the death of the woman that breastfed me, put me in SMA, and gave me hard food to eat. That would have been enough for me to want to use. But through the growth of this program and surrendering certain behaviors and certain activities, I've learned that that's not what she wants from me. Do you know what I mean? I have to man up. I have to be a man. Do you know what I mean? I have to grow up. So we was planning the funeral of my brothers and sisters. We did it on Zoom. Zoom's amazing, by the way. Before pandemic, nobody really knew about Zoom. And now Zoom's like a household name. It's like sellotape or vacuum. Everybody says Zoom this, Zoom that, Zoom this. It's just that secondary thing that we go to. So we was planning the funeral. And lo and behold, my mum got COVID. Do you know what I mean? She got COVID, and Jamaica's one of those countries. The medical, we complain about medical care in this country. And you get COVID in Jamaica, man. You try and get COVID in Jamaica. My mum's got private health care, but because she's got COVID, they won't admit her to a private hospital. So they put her in a general hospital, but they don't put her on the ward. They put her in a tiny room, and they don't allow us to see her. And the pain of that alone was tearing me apart. Like I said, when Terry asked me to do this, I almost wanted to use that as an excuse not to come here. But if you've been around and if you worked a program, if you know Narcotics Anonymous, that's the stuff you have to bring. That's the stuff you have to surrender to the people that love you and care about you. That's the real stuff. Not none of this the book. Because anybody can speak the words, but do they know the song? You know what I mean? Do they know the longevity of the song? You know what I mean? Do they know when a crisis comes what to do? Do they know how to surrender that crisis? And that's one of the things I've learned. So as I say, all of that happened with my mother. I was torn between staying, going. I spoke to some brothers that I do a book study with. I know this is a spiritual program, but it's still a God-given program. And they prayed, because that's what I have to do, because I've got a higher power that has to be, just like Cathy spoke about. It has to be there when you guys ain't there. Do you know what I mean? I know we got 24-hour marathon meetings. I know we got meetings all over the world. But this addict needed to surrender to a higher power that he grew up with in his childhood. So, I had to do that surrender. And sometimes we hold on to stuff, and I was holding on to some stuff, and I wasn't doing my step 10s. I was doing most of my program. Like in the morning, like I said, I'd wake up and I'd pray. I'd do a gratitude list. I'd read just for today. I'd do all of that basic stuff that I learned. I spoke to my sponsor. How are you? I'd do that. Yeah, I'm all right, but not get deep. That deep surrender. You know what I mean? There was a reservation there not to be honest with my sponsor. I didn't want to tell him, because when if you tell someone something, they're going to tell you what you need to do. They're going to make a suggestion. And we know what a suggestion is, isn't it? A suggestion is a subtle command. Do you know what I mean? And we also know that the only suggestions you pay for in NA are the ones you don't take. so you've got to bear that in mind. People forget, people remember. So if you want to take notes, feel free. Anyway, back to my drama with my mum. So all that was going on in my head. A friend of mine in recovery was getting married last weekend. One of my mates was getting married last weekend. Him and his beautiful partner. They're both in recovery, and I was meant to be going to their wedding. I've got this new beard going on. I'm trying to be the next Idris Elba, but it's more like the Idris Elbow than the bar. So I've got this beard going on, and something came into my head. A thought came into my head. And that's what reminded me of that reading. The thought was, I'm going to see an old pal of mine who's a hairdresser. I'm going to go to his house, because he cuts hair at his house. I'm going to go there and I'm going to ask him to cut my beard. There's thousands of barbers, but I'm going to go to his house. I know he serves up. I know he imports gear. I don't ring no one. I don't surrender the information. The thought comes in my head. You know what I mean? And I react on it. So I go to his house, I'm sitting there in the chair. He said, "What you up to?" I said, "I'm going to a wedding." He goes, "Do you want some of that stuff?" I said, "What stuff?" "What stuff?" He said, "Do you want some of that stuff?" But I'm hesitating, but I don't say no. They say if you keep going to a barber shop, you're going to get a haircut. I didn't need to keep going. I was there already. And in that moment, he opened it up and he showed it to me. I'm 9 years in the game. I'm 9 years in recovery. And I say that because those 9 years meant nothing. Those 9 years meant nothing at that moment. At that particular moment in time, I put my finger in the bag, but I didn't lick it. And I wanted to, and it was my drug. And I had such a euphoric recall. I went back and I thought, I immediately, it was Friday night, and Friday night was my night. I don't know what night is yours, but Friday night was my night, the night I celebrated. And I wanted to go, but something stopped me. And, one second. I believe it was my higher power that stopped me. I believe it was my higher power. It may not be yours, but it's mine. I had to leave that house. I had to phone some people, and I had to get honest. Honesty, a level of surrender. I had to be really honest. I didn't want to tell people that I was that close. And this is 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, so close to not surrendering. I couldn't have sat here. And told you guys about, shared about surrender, different levels of surrender. But fortunately, as I say, God was with me, and I was able to pull through. I'm going to another wedding on Wednesday. If EasyJet and TUI pull their act together. If not, I have to surrender to that, because JV, he's getting married, and he's chosen to get married the same week as the Queen's Jubilee. Only he can plan his wedding in and around that, such an enormous event. But he's a big beast, big cheese. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of touch back on. I just needed to get some of that stuff out and center myself. I think it was about 2017, 2018, I landed on the doorsteps of Narcotics Anonymous. And I remember it was a 7:30 Buck Street meeting in Camden. I don't know if you've ever been there. We used to call it Jerry Springer Show, because it was full of colourful characters, different kinds of people, all attended this wonderful meeting. And I sat there, and that was the first time I really surrendered when they went round and everybody said their name. And I didn't realise, just by saying my name's Cathy or my name's Roger, I'm an addict, that was a level of surrender. It wasn't until I read the basic text, because someone said to me, when you come to NA, you're going to need at least 3 things. You need a black suit, a blue ball, and a dictionary. I already had suits, so I didn't bother with a black suit, but the dictionary and that came later. But like I said, I used to hide behind my dyslexia and say I can't read, but that, that's something I've learned to overcome. Because I've learned to surrender to men I trust who will help me read and teach me the steps in a different way than to have to read them and intellectualize them. Because I can read a page and then forget it. If I read a page and talk to you, I've forgotten straight away. But by surrendering and having the humility that you need when you surrender, I've learned to grow, and I've learned so much. One of my second surrenders was for me to do service. I didn't realize how important it was to do service, to be of service. There's a brother in this room. He talks about being saved to serve. He said we're saved, but we're not soft. But he actually says to save to serve. But it's a beautiful thing. I love it. You know what I mean? I don't always show you appreciation, but trust me, I do listen to you. You know what I mean? I do listen to you. And I learned to do service, and that taught me a lot. That really taught me a lot, because for years I had been in contact with people. I had learned how to communicate with people, and I did a tea service, and I didn't realise that when people come in and you offer them tea, and you ask them the name, you ask them about a little bit about that day, that's humility and a surrender that I didn't even know. Just listening to them when they come back the next week and you know their name, they're so happy. Someone knows my name. They know what tea they need. Ginger lemon. So that, and I also did. I remember doing a literature position. And literature taught me a lot. I remember stealing. I stole a pen just for today card because I couldn't read, and I take it home and I read it. And whenever they pass the card round, I'll be like, that one. You know what I mean? That's me trying to get a level of control over my recovery. I didn't realise that, but in time that all changed. It took me a while to do the steps. I had a sponsor for about 4 years. 4 years I had a sponsor. I surrendered to a sponsor straight away because I heard that's what you need to have. So I thought, I'll just get that. But I used to keep it in a glass cabinet. When people used to say, who's your sponsor? I say, that's my sponsor. You know what I mean? just to show off, just to brag, just bragging rights. I don't know if anybody in here has got a sponsor and they're not using it, but you know, maybe pick up the phone after the meeting. Just a suggestion. But the steps, for me, the steps were on the wall. They were just the writing on the wall, and I remember the word God seemed to spring out to me. And I didn't want to surrender to God because I grew up in the church. I grew up with a terrorized, hating God. I grew up with God who was a white guy who wore a white sheet and walked on water. And they bring him out every Christmas on TV. Do you know what I mean? They show all these Moses stories. So I didn't want to surrender to that. You know what I mean? But the fortunate thing about Narcotics Anonymous, you get to choose your higher power. Whatever path you take, you just have to be honest with yourself. Do you know what I mean? And that higher power. That's all you have to do. And that's another level of surrender. And that took time. That took a lot of time for me. I think it took about 5 years. You know, I was fortunate, I was blessed because, like I say, I came to Western, I did my step forward, so much was uncovered. And the guy that I came to stay with, JB, who's not here, he was a beautiful guy. He let me stay in his house. You know, this is a guy who was on the streets doing all kinds of things. He brings me to his house and he allows me to stay there and to discover myself and do my step forward. Only Narcotics Anonymous can you meet people like that who can love you unconditionally. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, I've been brought up in the church. No one brought me to their house in the church. I'd have stole everything. Do you know what I mean? I know me. But in here, it's slightly different. And moving on, I went through the process, and different level of surrenders came. It talks about in our literature anything we put before our recovery, we lose. And I put a lot of stuff before my recovery. When I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I was married. I was married. I've been in a relationship 32 years, 32 long years. But you know, I hadn't surrendered my behaviours. Because behaviours was something I had to learn to surrender. Because I had animalistic behaviours that I picked up in and around the use of drugs, in and around the selling of drugs, in and around women, in and around all of my behaviours, and that still carried on. Because as we talk about in our literature, drugs is just a symptom of our disease, of addiction. I'm addicted to everything. I've got to surrender to donuts. Because, no, I kid you not, because I look pretty fit. I go to the gym, I work out in the middle of the night. The donuts are there. I'll go to the petrol stations to fill up fuel, and I'll buy a box of 12 Krispy Kremes. Now, I'm going on with my own, you know, but I'm buying 12 Krispy Kremes. And in my head, my disease says, no, you're going to share them with someone. So I have to surrender to the fact that when I do go into a shop like that, I've got to leave them where they are. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different kinds of... I can't do online shopping. I've got to surrender to online shopping. Because if I go online to buy one pair of shoes, I've got to buy 3 pairs of shoes. I've only got 2 feet. But that's just me. That's learned behaviours. You know, one is too many and 1,000 never enough. And I've got a hole I can't fill. A hole that only one thing can fill, which is God. Yeah. And I know I keep mentioning God, but he's very important in my life. He's taken me through a lot of stuff. And he's always been there. Always been there. Whenever I'm ready to surrender any level of my recovery, he's always been there for me. How much time have I got left?
You've got 10 minutes.
10 minutes, all right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I want to talk about relationships and journey and surrender in terms of the thing. From working the program, even though me and my wife are parted company, we managed to remain amicable in our divorce. But I've been trying to hold on to stuff like the property that we lived in. You know what I mean? I refuse to surrender it. I want to hold on to that stuff, but I know unless I let go of some of that stuff, and I've had to let go of that recently, then nothing good will come in my life. If I hold on to something negative, something bad in my life, nothing good. You know, if you're sitting in a seat, no one else can sit in there. You have to release that seat for somebody else, and that's the same as surrender. If I'm holding on to a negative thought if I'm holding on to distrust, dislike about anybody in this room, if I'm not forgiving one of my brothers or one of my sisters, if I'm not surrendering that, then all the only thing to do is poisoning myself. And like I say, it took me 4 years to do the steps, the first round. I did the second round after 6 years, because after 6 years I wanted to commit suicide. I remember ringing Junior and saying to him, I want to kill myself. 6 years in the program, because I was holding on to some stuff that I hadn't given to my first sponsor. I had to change sponsor, I had to surrender my old sponsor, take my stuff to a new sponsor. And I had to have the humility to choose a sponsor that didn't even have the same clean time as me. But I had to do it because I knew if I didn't do that, I was going to die. And I deserve to live. I've got 2 beautiful kids. I've got a son who's 21 who's doing really, really well in his life. I've got a daughter that's 26, she's amazing. Absolutely beautiful, stunning girl. Lovely kids. They still love me, they still want me in my life. But if I don't surrender some of the stuff, the bitterness I carry, the trauma, the childhood traumas that I carry, all that's going to do is rub off on them. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to do that. I'm going to try and land this one because I'm not going to go the full 30 minutes. You know what I mean? I think when God's finished filling me up, I can spill it over into you, but then I've got to stop. Someone told me this story about these monkeys in Africa, and they were saying if the hunters want to catch the monkeys, what they do is they cut out these coconut shells and they put something sweet in there. And what happens is the monkey comes and he puts his hand inside and he can't release his hand. And they tie the shell around a tree. So the monkey's trying to pull, but he can't release himself. And he pulls and pulls and pulls. And then the hunter comes along and they kill the monkey. Now you're wondering what's that got to do with surrender? All the monkey had to do was let go. All the monkey had to do was surrender. What you got to ask yourself when you leave here today, what are you holding on to? What are you holding on to? Are you holding on to that resentment? Are you holding on to that fear? Are you holding on to that sweet thing? Are you holding on to that boy, that girl, that hate? Are you a monkey?
No.
My name's Roger. Thanks for letting me be in service.